My name is Olivia. I am 28 years old, and I live in a quiet part of Boston near the river. It is a peaceful neighborhood filled with small coffee shops, old bookstores, warm streetlights, and soft music coming from open windows at night. Many people think I have a beautiful life. I have a caring husband, a cozy apartment, a stable job at a small cafe library downtown. From the outside, everything looks perfect. But inside me, something feels painfully empty. Every morning, I wake up with a heavy feeling in my chest. Sometimes I stare at the ceiling for long minutes before getting out of bed. Sometimes I wish I could disappear for a little while. 1 year ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I married a man named Daniel. Daniel is 33 years old. He teaches piano at a music school near the city center. He is gentle in every possible way. He remembers tiny details about me. He notices when I feel tired. He always knows when my smile is fake. Every morning, he makes coffee before I even wake up. Sometimes he leaves little notes beside my cup. You looked beautiful while sleeping. Don't work too hard today. You deserve happiness. Those words should make me feel loved. But instead, they make me feel guilty. Because I do not love him. I tried. I truly tried. But my heart never chose him. Before Daniel, there was someone else. His name was Ethan. We were together for 5 years. For 5 years, I believed Ethan was the man. Daniel loved me with his whole heart. That was the hardest part. Every Friday evening, he brought flowers home. Sometimes roses, sometimes white lilies, sometimes sunflowers, because he said they reminded him of my smile. He cooked dinner while soft piano music played in the background. He kissed my forehead before sleeping every night. And every time he looked at me, his eyes were full of love. Meanwhile, mine were full of guilt. One evening, Daniel prepared a special dinner for me. Candles glowed softly around the apartment. The smell of garlic pasta filled the kitchen. Slow jazz music played quietly from the speakers. Daniel even wore the dark blue shirt I once told him I liked. When I entered the dining room, he smiled warmly. Surprise! I forced a smile. It looks beautiful. Daniel walked closer and touched my hand gently. You've seemed sad lately, he whispered. I just want to make you happy. His voice sounded so honest that I almost cried immediately. During dinner, Daniel talked about small things. Funny students from his piano class, a new coffee shop opening nearby, plans for future vacations together. But I barely listened. I only stared at the candlelight and wondered how long I could continue pretending. After dinner, we walked outside together. Cold wind moved softly through the empty streets. The city looked peaceful at night. Then Daniel suddenly stopped near the river. This place is special to me, he said quietly. I looked confused. Why? He smiled softly. Because this is where I realized I loved you. My chest tightened painfully. Daniel looked at me with those hopeful eyes again. I know you still struggle sometimes, he whispered. But I believe one day you'll truly love me back. Those words shattered something inside me. Because deep down, I knew that day would never come. That night, I stood alone in the bathroom, staring at my reflection. My eyes looked tired, lost, like someone trapped inside her own life. Then quietly, I whispered something to myself for the first time. I married the wrong man. The next morning, I met my best friend Mia at a small cafe near the river. Rain tapped softly against the windows. Warm coffee smell filled the air around us. Mia looked at me carefully the moment I sat down. You haven't been sleeping, she said softly. I tried smiling. I'm okay. No, Mia replied gently. You've been pretending for months. Her words immediately broke the wall inside me. I looked down at my coffee cup and whispered, I don't love Daniel. Mia stayed quiet. Rain continued falling outside. I thought maybe love would come after marriage, I continued. But nothing changed. Mia reached for my hand slowly. Then why are you staying? My eyes filled with tears. Because Daniel is a good person. And I'm scared of hurting him. Mia sighed softly. Olivia, staying without love hurts him too. I closed my eyes immediately, because deep down, I already knew she was right. That evening, Daniel sat at the piano in our living room. Soft music filled the apartment. Normally, his music felt comforting, but now, every note felt heartbreaking. I stood quietly near the hallway, listening to him play. Then suddenly, Daniel stopped. Without turning around, he asked softly, Are you unhappy with me? My entire body froze. Silence filled the room. Finally, Daniel looked back at me slowly. His eyes already looked emotional. And somehow, I realized he had known the truth for a long time. I try so hard, Olivia, he whispered. I keep hoping one day you'll look at me the way I look at you. Tears rolled down my cheeks immediately. Daniel. My voice shook badly. I never wanted to hurt you. He smiled sadly. But you're hurting anyway. The room became painfully quiet. Only rain could be heard outside the windows. Then finally, I said the words I had been hiding for over a year. I don't love you.
Daniel closed his eyes slowly after hearing those words. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then he whispered softly. I already knew. I stared at him in shock. He looked exhausted, not angry, just heartbroken. I saw it in your eyes every day, he said quietly. Tears rolled down my face uncontrollably now. Then why did you stay? I whispered. Daniel smiled sadly. Because I loved you enough to hope. Those words completely broke me. I sat down on the floor and cried silently. For the first time in months, I cried honestly. Not from confusion, not from loneliness, but from finally telling the truth. Daniel walked toward the window slowly. City lights reflected through the rain behind him. Then he said something I will never forget. Loving someone should never feel like prison, Olivia. His voice sounded calm but painfully tired. You stayed because you felt guilty. He looked at me quietly. But guilt is not love. That sentence stayed inside my heart forever. The next few days felt strange. Daniel and I still lived in the same apartment, but everything had changed. No more kisses, no more notes beside my coffee, no more pretending. At night, I slept in the guest room. Sometimes I heard Daniel playing piano quietly after midnight. Sad music. Beautiful music. Music filled with heartbreak. One evening, I packed a small suitcase. The apartment suddenly felt full of memories. Coffee mugs, movie tickets, books we bought together. The little flower vase Daniel placed near the window every Friday. When Daniel came home and saw my suitcase beside the door, he stopped moving for a moment. Then quietly he asked, "So this is goodbye?"
Tears filled my eyes immediately. I'm sorry, I whispered again. Daniel looked tired, but strangely peaceful. Then he walked closer slowly and handed me something small. The silver moon necklace he once gave me near the river. I think you should keep it, he said softly. I stared at him emotionally. Why? Daniel smiled sadly. Because even painful love can still be real. I could not stop crying after hearing that. A few minutes later, Mia arrived to pick me up. As we drove through the quiet streets of Boston, I looked outside the car window silently. Rain blurred the city lights around us. For the first time in years, I felt terrified. But I also felt free. Weeks later, I moved into a tiny apartment near the river. Small kitchen, yellow walls, one window facing the city skyline. It was simple, but it felt honest. Slowly, I started rebuilding my life. I joined a writing class, started taking long walks alone, started sleeping peacefully again. And for the first time in a very long time, I started recognizing myself again. One evening, while writing inside my notebook, I wrote a sentence that changed me forever. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. I stared at those words for a long time. Then slowly, I smiled. Not because everything was perfect, but because healing had finally begun. Months later, I received a short message from Daniel. I hope you are doing well, Olivia. I started teaching children's piano classes now. It makes me happy. I smiled sadly while reading it. Then I replied softly. I hope life gives you the love you truly deserve. After sending the message, I sat quietly beside my window. Outside, the